welcome to another episode of Sit Down Stand Up. I've got with me David. I'm actually going to call you a TikTok legend, David, after going through
Well,
your stuff. We're from Manchester, is that correct?
yes, Manchester. Yeah.
Okay, fair, cool. And
Yeah.
I want to go straight into it. Lincoln Park,
Oh, mate, best day of my life.
yeah?
Honestly, it was mega, absolutely amazing. So I've never been Wembley in my life. So when I saw Lincoln Park were there, I just had to jump at the opportunity. Um, and then I didn't even realise my mate because he got the tickets. He put us in a mosh pit, and I've never been in a mosh pit in my life.
Okay.
So let's just say I was a little bit anxious, thinking about I'm gonna get battered here because then I turn up and there's lads there that are like 6'5", and I'm like I'm gonna get battered here. But honestly, everyone was just it was just lovely. It was amazing, amazing.
I always love a mosh pit etiquette at rock gigs. I mean, I don't know what it's like now anymore, but Hybrid Theory was the first album I ever bought.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, like obviously R.I.P. Chester.
Yeah,
I,
definitely.
I was I was on the fence when Emily came on, but
Mm.
she's killing it.
Just smashing it, absolutely smashing it. Yeah.
So
So yeah, Hybrid Fairy, like all the songs, obviously they're not the same with Emily singing it, but she puts her own little slant on it. And again, let's not get into that whole conversation because we'll be here hours.
yeah,
But if it wasn't for Emily, like the band would be no more. Like there'd be no live gigs, there'd be nothing at all. And yeah, you can get other male singers, but no matter who steps in as a singer, they're always going to get some abuse, aren't they?
some sort of
So
backlash. But no, I thought she was absolutely brilliant. So I sound like if I always do the shout outs at the end, but I'm doing it straight away. If you haven't seen David's TikTok, jump on it because it is fucking awesome. So the way I'm going to start this is how did you get into comedy and why did you choose to do comedy?
it's a funny one for me. So I did try some just before probably about 2018 or something like that. But my mental health at the time was not in a place where I could stand in front of people trying to like do that. I've been singing for years, so I concentrated more on the singing.
Mhm.
Um, had some personal stuff going on, and then obviously COVID came, had more personal stuff going on, and all that got in the way. Um, and yeah, I've been hosting fundraisers, I'd say, for the past 4 years, 5 years in my dad's memory, and that is a little bit stand-up comedy type stuff as well. And a lot of people just said you should try comedy, and I was like, well, I did do it a few years ago, but it never really took off. So I just started getting back into it again. Really, last year I did a couple of gong shows last year, and then this year I'm just really going full force with it and getting as many bookings as I can. And I've entered a competition, Spirit of Comedy competition with Ricky Gervais.
Okay.
So I've got through to the semi-finals of that. So again, I'm just taking it day by day. Really, I wouldn't say that I'm a full time stand up comedian, and if that's the dream, obviously. But in terms of getting into it, I suppose it's mental health that got me into it, and recovering from what I was going through.
Okay,
Like
so you
laughter's the best medicine, isn't it?
100%. And a lot of comics I speak to, I mean, if I ever see a comic who starts it because they're happy, they're jolly, they enjoy laughing, I was sort of thinking, fuck you a little bit. Like comedy comes from a dark place, and
Yeah,
we do, we sort of start comedy from the abyss, from a dark point, and
yeah, definitely.
we sort of shed our pain on the stage. So, would you
Yeah,
say that's a lot what a lot of your comedy sort of reverts around?
yeah. So, have you ever heard of the 5 ways of well-being? Have you ever heard of that before?
I haven't, no.
No. So essentially, what they say is if people are struggling with mental health, there's 5 things to concentrate on, and that's connecting with people, keeping active, learning something new, giving to others, and taking notice of what you've got rather than what you want. So I've basically done that without realizing there's funny stuff that's happened for every one of those 5. So I've basically so I've written like an hour or 60 minute worth of comedy to do a special at some point when I get there, but it all revolves around these 5 ways of well-being. So hopefully someone might see it and go, oh, I'm struggling, and I can take that from, what's worked for Dave. Maybe it'll work for me. And I'm not saying I'm God's gift to mental health in any way, shape, or form, but I know from the people I've spoken to with these 5 ways of well-being, it definitely helps. So it's like a show revolving around the 5 ways of well-being, and all the funny stuff that's happened on the journey.
So not only is your comedy funny, you also want to spread a message.
Yeah. Inspire people basically to get and not saying especially men because women struggle as well, but obviously the stereotypes and the stigma around men, and it's just breaking that stigma at the same time as making people laugh whilst doing it. I've had ladies coming up to me, crying their eyes out,
Mm.
about men that are in their lives, and they've passed the messages on to the men that are in their lives, and they said it went down really well. And so it's not just aimed at men in any way, shape, or form, but ladies can definitely take the message and pass it on to men in their lives. And then, like I say, it's making people laugh, hopefully inspiring people to talk out and just having a laugh.
Yeah.
That's the key thing here, isn't it? Really.
100%. Well, I started my comedy when I was at rock bottom,
Mm.
and it has helped me a lot. The one I also can't stress enough. I know I'm a big guy.
Right?
I'm 118 kilos. 2 years ago, I was 155,
Wow, smashed
and
it.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I know I'll pat myself on the. I can actually reach the back now, so I can finally pat myself on it. um, yeah, can't stress enough. Like, and especially with comedy, you do laugh at your pain. So
Yeah,
would you say on stage you are yourself, the genuine true to yourself, or do you create an alternative persona?
no, 100% myself. Yeah. Um, So I do a lot of music. So again, I started off entertainment, if you will, with music, rapping, singing, guitar, and that sort of stuff.
Mm.
And I was gigging in pubs and weddings and birthdays and so on. So I've never put a persona on doing that. So when I moved into doing more comedy and I bring the music with me, because again, it's quite musical as well. It's just literally myself. So basically, the way I write my comedy is something funny will happen. I'll write it into a structure of a joke, and then I'll
Mm.
say it as it happened.
Okay.
So it's just me. I don't put, in all everyday life, I will never put a persona on. If people like me for who I am, great. If they don't like me for who I am, great. I'd rather people like me or not like me for who I am than trying to, because I'm a shit actor, so I'd fail anyway.
I'll see straight through it.
And see straight through it, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it seems I was asked this question, but we seem to have answered it. But I'll ask it anyways. Would you say you write your comedy for yourself or for the crowd?
It's a hard one, that. It is a hard one because a bit of both, I'd say. Because again, like I say, all my jokes are true. I'm not one of these comedians that might make something up to make it funny.
Yeah.
Um, but let's say that I think something's absolutely hilarious and I say it on stage. So I've got a really good example. So my girlfriend's Polish. Well, my fiance now is Polish. And the language barriers led to some funny like misunderstandings. So there
Hmm.
was a whole thing where I was texting her asking her if she likes cuddles because I was being cute. And she was telling me how she's having a cuddle in the bath. And I was a bit like, what, are you having a cuddle in the bath? We're dating. But the whole misunderstanding was she thought I was talking about candles, not cuddles. So like a language barrier there. So I said it. I said it on stage as it happened, and just absolutely no one laughed, and I died on my ass with that joke. So what I've had to do is go back to the drawing board with it, thinking about the crowd, so writing it for the audience to make it into a better structure for a joke. And then I tried it at an open mic night, and it went down really well. So
Hmm.
the joke has come from writing it because it was funny and it happened to me, and I've wrote it for myself. But I've had to rewrite it, if you will, for other people. So again, a mixture of both, really.
Okay. And say if you rewrote it, it bombed, rewrote it, bombed. How many times would you give a joke a chance before, you sort of retire it or say, you know what, I'm gonna die on the hill on this one. I know this is funny and it's for me. Sod the rest
But
of you.
again, it depends. It depends who you've got in the room, because again, one room might think it's funny, the other might. So when I retried the candle joke at the open mic night, everyone laughed, but that was halfway through my set, so maybe they just laughed out of pity. Who knows? If I try it again in the future and it dies on its ass, maybe I'll just bring it in like where it feels more appropriate, and then like if it's just never getting any laughter at all, I'll obviously like chuck it to the side, maybe make a TikTok instead.
Mm.
But then like yeah, so I'd try it in multiple rooms first because it depends who you got in the room. It really does. Like the Frog and Bucket, the Gong Show, you can do really well one week, say the same jokes the next time you go and die. Like so, it all depends on who's in the room.
How many gongs? Because I love a gong show. I
Yeah,
love a gong show, but like you said, it is all determined on the night who you've got, who gets the cards, and
yeah.
yeah. So, what is your experience with gong shows? How have we done?
So I did. God, I can't even think how long ago this was now. The first gong show I ever done was probably about 10 years ago. It was that long ago. It was at the Comedy Store in Manchester,
Mine was
and they're in.
in London, my first ever one.
Oh, right, okay. So I don't know about London, but the Manchester one, they encourage, or they did because they're closed down now. But they encourage people to heckle and they encourage the crowd to be bellends, basically.
Yeah.
So I got on stage and I can't even remember what my content was then. Like I say, it was about 10 years ago, first ever go of it. And I think I lasted about 2 minutes, something like that, and got gonged off. And then that completely knocked me confidence. So I didn't try anything again until, like I say, just before COVID.
Hmm.
Um, Came back, I did the Comedy Store and got through. Didn't win the overall night, but got through. And then did the Frog and Bucket, and then did that twice before COVID. Got through both times, but didn't win. And then I had that huge break for the mental health stuff. And then last year when I did it twice last year, got through. So I've only ever been gonged off once, basically.
Okay.
But in recent memory, I've came second twice. One of them where I came second, it was actually quite funny because when I came second, everybody booed and come up to me at the end and said, "You should have won." I was like,
Oh,
"We should have cheered louder then, shouldn't you?" You know,
yeah, that's your fault, you bastard.
it's your fault. The person who won, and I don't even know his. I've not seen him since, so I'm guessing he just did it for a laugh. But I'm not exaggerating when I say his whole 5 minutes was him acting shagging a horse. So his whole 5 minutes was him shagging a horse and making horse noises while having a shag.
How's he
So
lost
when
five
he
minutes?
exactly, he even said, I even remember him
No, no, I
saying,
meant who could
"This
last
is."
5 minutes.
Oh well, he shagged it 3 times in 5 minutes. Uh,
4 minutes of it
but
was cuddling the horse.
that's it, cuddling and crying at the end. And put a bit of Netflix on. But yeah, so basically, he even joked on the stage and said, like, "I've got nothing else," and then just kept like giddying up around the stage. It was fucking weird. But yeah, he won because I think everyone was clapping out of like irony sort of thing. But then when he actually won, a lot of people come up to me afterwards and says, "I can't believe you didn't win. Surely you're going to get more." Like, but I
Yeah.
said, "That's not how it works. You've got to win to get further bookings." So then I went back and did the exact same set again, and then again came about third, something like that, fourth, something like that. But again, the person who won was amazing. And then beginning of this year, I think it was, I went back and again got through, but it just didn't hit the same. So I think there was a different type of crowd there. I got one card, and I've never had a card doing the yogurt song, which I might talk about in a minute. But I've never had a card doing the yogurt song in my life, and this
I've
group.
seen the yoga. I've seen the yoga bit, but I won't say it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. But I've never had a car doing the yoga song except for this one where it was like I don't want to say stuck up. That's probably a bit harsh, but you know, someone who's not into like crude-ish sounding jokes. Because yeah, and I
Yeah.
think if you don't get the fact it's not actually crude, it's actually factual. Yeah. We'll talk about the yoga song too. But yeah, so I think it all depends on the crowd that's in the room. But the gong shows, I've been gonged off once 10 years ago at the Comedy Store, and then like I say that you, the annoying thing now is gong shows are great, but you've got to win them to get anywhere. And there's a lot of people that turn up, and there's a lot of really good comedians that turn up. So you can be really good at comedy and just not win a gong show and get nowhere with comedy. So it's quite difficult.
With is it Frog and Bucket, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How many people are usually on a gong show, and what is sort of the success rate?
So they've changed it in recent years. It used to be that if you won the gong show, you'd come and open a gong show for 10 minutes, and then
Okay.
I think they'd have eight on, like so 8 people competing. But now they've
Right.
changed it where no one opens. It's like the compare who hosts it, and then I think they have 3 sections of 4, maybe 3 sections of 5. So there's
Right.
like between sort of 12 and 15 people every week competing. And then I don't know that, like I say, I've never actually won overall, like come first, but I think now you do have to come first to get any further bookings with Frog and Bucket. I mean, it's good because you get the footage and you can send footage to,
Yeah.
bookers, and I have had bookings out of it. So it's just more at Frog and Bucket.
And with say 15 people performing, how many would last 5 minutes on average? Would you say?
Half?
Oh,
Something like
okay.
that. Half, yeah.
Good
I think
number.
they're a lot more laid back at the Frog and Bucket. The Comedy Store was if they didn't like your shoes, they'd gong you off.
Yeah.
Like it's
No,
just that.
I said my when I did Comedy Store, it was my first ever gig, the Gong Show. I lasted a minute 34 because I went up with no material, boom, deer in the headlights. there were 40 acts and only 2 got through.
Yeah, it's madness.
And like I had a guy, the guy who was like giving me advice was from New Zealand. He lasted 5 seconds. The second he opened his mouth, the second they
Yeah.
realised he was a Kiwi, they kicked him
Mm.
off. It,
Yeah.
it's the arena, it's gladiators.
Yeah.
So
Like I say, Frog and Bucket's a little bit nicer than that. They do give you a bit of time. Basically, if you start to like get a lot of what they called, what they called, hay bales that go across the screen. What they
tumbleweed.
call tumbleweeds. That was it. Tumbleweeds. If you start getting tumbleweeds with your jokes, they'll card you off. But they're not. They're not mean there. Yeah.
No.
Nice. It's nice. It's a nice gig as well. To be fair, everyone's dead friendly.
Yeah, well, it's on my to-do list for this year to
Mm.
drive up there because I'm London myself. So
Yeah.
my job to drive up there. David, I'm wondering, have you got any jokes about yogurts?
I do.
Fancy that.
It's funny to say that. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably my most. Well, it is my most successful routine that I've done, and it all stems from taking a yogurt to work and forgetting to take a spoon. And then I find myself eating the yogurt without a spoon in the office and think, well, this could be misinterpreted. So yeah, basically wrote a whole song around eating a yogurt without a spoon and get a bit of crowd participation going as well. Because you could either eat it with your fingers, you could lick it out as I sing. Yeah, so again, it goes down really. And I've got a funny story about the yogurt song. So, like I say, the whole song, if you're dirty minded when you listen to it, it's filthy. But if you actually think about eating a yogurt with no spoon, it's factual and it's not offensive in any way, shape, or form. So again, it depends who listens to it. Anyway, I got an email from Thames TV, I think it is. It's basically the people who do Britain's Got Talent, and said, I've seen your video online. Da, da, da. I thought it was a scam at first, so I just didn't reply. And then they WhatsApped me and said they'd like to talk to me on the phone. So I spoke to her on the phone, and she said, we really like the yogurt song, and we understand that it's not deep down filthy, you know. However, I don't think the audience of Britain's Got Talent will see it the same way. So, is there a way that you can make it a bit more PG? And it's hard to make a song that is already PG for the right people.
Yeah.
How
Well,
do you? It loses its. So I said I tried for about 2 weeks. I just can't change it. It just
yeah.
doesn't work in any other way.
But then also, why should you change your art for them?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Also,
I mean, I've got a great sob story. I could just go on stage and tell them about my
yeah,
sob
do
story.
that's half hours worth. Yeah, yeah, you get the black and the grey screen 20 minutes before you actually go on for two.
20 minutes of just me crying.
Yeah. That's always hated about Britain's Got Talent X Factor. You know when someone's going to be good
Yeah.
because all of a sudden that
Especially if the camera's following around their house. Why is the production crew come to your house filming you and then you're not going to get through? Obviously, yeah.
something
Yeah.
sus here a little bit.
Well, again, with Britain's Got Talent, the thing, because I've been told loads of times, even for the singing, oh, you should go on for the singing, not even the comedy stuff. The problem is, you've either got to be amazing or amazingly shit. And if you're amazingly shit, that's you're done. You know, and you're a meme for 20 minutes and then you've forgotten about. To be amazing on Britain's Got Talent compared to the rest of it is hard in it. So it's yeah. So I said no in the end, obviously, because you just can't PG a song like that. It's just not. It doesn't work.
I'll tell
Yeah.
you, with your yogurt bit, the bit that instantly sort of hooked me is because I'll get into this second. You're really good at crowd work.
Mm-hmm.
When you said, "Do you know what you do when you don't bring a spoon to the office for your yogurt?" and someone shouts, "Write a song about it."
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's brilliant. How did you learn to do crowd work? Because you're good at that.
So yeah, so I'm not a secret spy. I need to say that, but I'm not allowed to say where I work. I got told off for it, so I'm not allowed to publicly tell people where I work. It's nothing bad, I'm a porn star now, but I'm not allowed to tell people where I work. But basically, I talk for a living,
Okay.
so I talk in front of crowds for a living. So um, it's just something that I've picked up on, and it's irony really because I've got a really shit memory. Unless I'm on stage, then I can really remember who sat where and what people have said. But if you asked me
Okay.
what I had for my tea yesterday, I couldn't tell you. Like my memory's
Yeah.
shocking, but that type of memory is good. So obviously, in the past where I've asked that question and people have shouted, "Oh, I'd use my fingers," then I can make a joke about that because I've already experienced that. If someone says, "Oh, I'd lick it out," and so I
Yeah.
could just sort of say, "Yeah," or if someone says something half the time, you can't even hear what people are shouting, to be
No.
honest. So it's just pre-guessing. A lot of crowd work is predetermined, and anyone who says it's not is a liar.
Yeah.
So, for instance, let's say someone says to me they'd use a breadstick. I haven't got a fucking clue what I'm going to say to that.
Okay.
So the crowd work could be shit. But who's going to say they get? Well, I might need to do it now, right? So why someone says breadstick, but you just sort of guess what people will say and then predetermine what you're going to say back.
Well, could you put them like so like you have your categories and then like a miscellaneous category? So if someone
Hmm.
shouts breadstick, they're going into the miscellaneous. You're a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Go
yeah.
straight onto that box. So with because I you do a lot of skits and stuff on TikTok. Is a
Mm.
lot of that transferable into the comedy world?
Yeah, a lot of it is. Yeah, so I do. I've not really posted much of my most recent one, really, but I do a lot about the gym. So again, going back to the 5 ways of well-being, being active. So I've been going to the gym. So there's a lot of funny stuff that's happened at the gym. And overhearing conversations at the gym while I'm in a sauna has just made me piss my sides with laughter because some of these kids they all think they're Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
They're all on energy drinks and shit like that. So listening to what they're saying is amazing. And it started before I started coming back to do comedy, just putting it on TikTok and seeing like how many reactions it got, and then if it gets quite a few reactions of people talking, then I'll make it into stand up. But it's still, like I say, it's still true because it's happened, and I put it on TikTok first. But I think the funniest one I heard in the sauna, this guy, and he talks like this. You know, these people that talk like this, right? So I do all the voices as well.
Yeah,
It's
your
like,
middle. Oh, my worst one is down south when you get the middle class gangsters. Like they go, "Oh fam, oh
oh,
blood, let's go fam."
oh, blood clot.
It's
Listen,
like, "Oh
fam.
mate,
Yeah.
shut up." Like,
So this guy's in the sauna and he goes, "Hey yo, do you know whatever?" It makes me laugh thinking about it because it just takes me back to that day. It's so funny. He goes, "Hey yo, do you know when I get off the sunbed? I don't know why, but I always smell like biscuits." Right, which is true because I've been on sunbeds. But the funniest bit is his mate who turns around and he goes, "That's because you're diabetic, mate." That's like that's not how it works. But again, it was dead funny. So I've wrote that into a joke in stand up as well. And I've been to a posh gym where, like, again, I'm not giving away too much of my material, but this posh trainer guy, because you get him for, if you pay a lot of money, you get a free personal trainer that's not really free. You've obviously paid for it in your subscription, but
yeah,
whatever. And he goes, "I need you to discover your spirit animal." So I was like, "What fucking what?" And he goes, "Just describe yourself in a sentence and we'll discover your spirit animal." So I say, I don't know what to say other than I'm a big guy that likes to swim. And he goes, "You're a whale."
brilliant.
Like, you fucking what? You're
Motivational
a whale?
speaking on the side.
I know, yeah. So just like I say, things like that have happened, I'll put them on TikTok first, see how it goes, and then make it into a stand-up type
So,
thing. Yeah,
so you take because I know you do a lot. Well, it's almost like that sort of like a what's the word? Like a filter. If it
yeah, yeah.
slaps on TikTok, you know, okay, right, well, this is stage worthy.
Yeah, but then also I need to think that the majority of people on TikTok are 18 to 35-ish sort of age. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a bit old to be on TikTok, really, in the grand scheme of it. But 18 to 35-ish is your core TikTokers. So when I go to a show and it's people 30, 40, 50, 60, it might
yeah.
not work the same as it did on TikTok. So
Okay, but
dipping your toe in.
a lot of it
Mm.
is transferable. So one of the questions that I always have to ask on every single one of these I do is a two-parter. The first bit I don't really give a shit about, but I just ask it anyways to be polite. What has been your favorite time on stage, and what time did you bomb the hardest?
Okay, so my favourite one was recently actually Manchester at Lions Den, La Fienda. It's I don't know if you've heard the competition Spirit of Comedy for Ricky Gervais's vodka brand.
We know about his
So
vodka brand, but and obviously I know Ricky Gervais is one of my heroes. Oh, so I've got
yeah,
four heroes: Ricky Gervais, Matt Stone, Trey Parker, and Richard Pryor. They're my
yeah,
four
yeah,
absolute goats. So no, go
yeah.
on. I know his
No,
vodka.
no, no, it's fine. Yeah, so Ricky Gervais obviously has got this vodka brand, and he's doing a competition to find the funniest or the best new comedian in the country, sort of thing. So they're touring around the UK. And then basically it's like a gong show, but it's not. So you do your set, and then the crowd decide who wins by voting on an app. So you don't get gonged off. You can be really shit. You don't get gonged off, but you've got to send in a video submission first. So not everyone who even applies gets to go. So they have 20 acts per show, and every act only gets 2 minutes. which is very hard. 2 minutes to, yeah, exactly. I can see your face because the bog standard basic's 5, isn't it? Everyone
Yeah,
does 5 minutes. So doing 2 minutes, the main conversation we're all having outside was like, how are we going to get a crowd to like us in 2 minutes? So I
yeah.
sort of bit the bullet a little bit and not rewrote the yogurt song, but trimmed the fat a little bit and just did the yogurt song.
The fat-free yogurt.
Um, it's quite
The fat-free yogurt.
fat free, fat free. I get, yeah. Well, it has to be a corner yogurt though for the joke to work. That's my favorite bit of the joke. I don't want to give away that bit, but it's good. Anyway, so yeah, I did that and obviously got through the competition.
Yeah,
So they're doing it everywhere. So they've been in Manchester, the Leeds, Glasgow, they're going across the entire country. So I'm through now to the semi-final, which is the 4th of September, I think, in Manchester, which is like one of the semi-finals. I don't even know how many people get through, but we've got 3 to 4 minutes this time. So it's like I've
oh,
gone from
that's
2 minutes, which is weird, yeah. But I suppose it's good as well though, because when you do watch some new comedians do 5 minutes, a lot of it is filler without being disrespectful. So
yeah,
they'll have really good jokes and then a bit of filler, and then yeah. But again, like with my jokes, a lot of them take a little bit to set up.
yeah.
So if I'm doing a joke that takes a lot of setup, it's one joke and you're done in 2 minutes. So yeah, so having 3 to 4, it feels weird to say I've got a bit more freedom because it's still not as much freedom as a 5 minute set, but who knows? If I get through that one, then it's October the 1st, I think, in London at Wembley. No, it's not at Wembley Arena. Hammersmith Apollo, I think.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
The finals at Hammersmith Apollo, and if you win the final, you win £5,000, and you open for Ricky Gervais at Wembley Arena.
awesome.
So
Yeah,
basically, I'm through to the semi-finals. So doing that show in terms of like my favourite time on stage, um, it was amazing just to meet so many other comedians who have done it for years. You know, I'm not going to name anybody because they might not want to be known, but some have done it for years. Some have turned up and it's like their third gig. Some are like me, who's like their fifth or sixth gig in recent memory.
yeah.
And just to see everyone collectively shitting themselves about only being able to do 2 minutes. Um,
Is it all internal voting, or like is it like in the
yeah,
semi-finals you're going to go
no,
external?
there's an app where whilst you're on stage, they vote while you're on stage from one
Right.
to five. So if they don't think you're funny, they'll put 1. If they think you're funny, they'll put 5. So their theory around it is that if you're first on stage and people think you're really funny, they'll click 5. You're not going to be forgotten about because the voting's already happened.
Right. Oh,
So
okay.
there's that,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Um,
where would be the best place like in the lineup? I was saying gong shows in theory as well. What
yeah.
would you say is the best place to go? First, last, middle of the pack, before the
I
first,
would
head
say
first?
if I could pick somewhere, I would probably say sort of third or fourth to last because or first. But if you're first, you'll get the most laughs, but people will forget
Yeah.
because people like the audience at gong shows are just happy to see the first act, and they're always like a bit more forgiving, you know, because your
Yeah.
first act. When it gets to the very last, people are tired and just want to go home.
Yeah.
But at least you're not forgotten about. And also people have had more alcohol, so some people turn into dicks.
Mm.
So being sort of third or fourth before the last, people are drunk enough to laugh, but hopefully not drunk enough to be dicks, and
Yeah.
you're not going to be forgotten about at the same time.
But
I always tend. Sorry, go on.
I say my favourite is going straight after someone's bombed.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah,
that as
no,
well.
that's the most ideal. Like, you wish them
Yeah,
good luck. You don't wish it. You know, you want them to be shit.
yeah. Good luck. We should. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I did one on last Thursday. I lasted 3 minutes 40 because I was doing my twin bit and it just wasn't hitting. I felt the room, but the person before me was like a gay 60-year-old, and you know that automatically qualified him. Whatever he said,
yeah.
like people were laughing, and
Hmm.
yeah, he absolutely killed it.
Again, it's without like racial profiling or what have you, but being a white man doing stand up, there's thousands, there's millions, there's 100,000 million white men doing comedy. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of competition, if you know what I mean. So
We
yes,
yeah, wholeheartedly. Well, I like like the two who went through on my gong show, the first ever one I did, they were both from the Middle East, and their opening bit was, "No, I'm not your Uber driver."
hmm,
And I thought, okay,
yeah,
like that, all your comedy is going to revolve around
mm,
that. But
yeah,
going back to this Ricky Gervais thing,
mm.
doing 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, that's a lot harder for you as a songwriter and a storyteller than say a one-liner. A
Yeah, well,
one-liner
it suits
comedian.
one-liners.
Is that what it mostly
Definitely
is?
suits them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but again, it's just getting the crowd hooked, and I think the advantage for me is the fact I've got a guitar in my hand. People are intrigued straight away.
Yeah,
So I get it, and yeah, when I go through to the semi-final, obviously I'm going to do the yogurt song again. I've got an idea of something I'm going to try as well because there's a bit more time this time, so I'm going to add sort of like a half song after it just to see how that goes. But I think yeah, so it does differentiate me from all of the others that look like me, might sound like me, and so yeah, it sort of sets me ahead because again, I was a singer before I was a comedian, so why not bring it into the comedy? I'd be foolish not to because I can sing. I'm not bloody best singer in the world, but I can sing. I can rap. I can write songs. I've got
yeah.
3 albums on Spotify, so I can make music. But obviously, stand-up comedy, I want to bring the music into the comedy at the same time. So it does differ me from some of the other people.
Okay. And we didn't go to what was your worst moment on stage?
The worst one, I don't. I'd probably go back to that time at the comedy store like 10 years ago because I was very young. I was like what 25, 26. I'm well,
Yeah,
38 now, so maybe 28. Probably more than 10 years ago. And I was it was just telling jokes, and it was actually quite funny because I've not got a mic here, but I used to rap on stage doing like ciphers, thinking I was a proper little travelled up and all that
yeah.
lot. And I held the microphone. I just remember the guy after me saying I was holding it like a rapper. So let's imagine this cam's a
Yeah.
mic. I'm holding it at the top and cupping the. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm a bit like, oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm telling jokes like that. So I was just not comfortable on the stage at all. Um, and I remember someone like because I've always been quite quick with like snappy replies. That probably stems from being bullied in school, to be fair. But I was always quite quick with my replies to make like people laugh. So someone shouted something and I didn't hear a word of what he said. And at the it's not too bad at the Frog and Bucket, you can see the crowd, but at the comedy store you couldn't see anyone. So someone shouted something and I looked up and I can't see anything at all. And I just shouted something like, "Come on, if you're gonna say something, please say it loud enough for me to reply." And then got carted off. And it's the most embarrassing walk of shame going back to your chair. Like walking through everybody who's just gonged you off.
well, I always go for a cigarette after.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
pretend I'm a new person. To be honest,
Yeah,
but
I've quit bloody smoking and vaping now, so I've not got that. I can't do it.
oh,
I can't go and smoke or vape anymore.
fair.
Yeah,
And yeah, see, one thing I'm not a fan of heckling is when they say something, you can't hear them, and then they never repeat themselves.
yeah, just shit houses out
Yeah, because
there.
so anybody who is thinking about comedy, but they're nervous. It's not really, they're worried about what people are going to say. What advice would you give them?
Yeah. Again, it's probably a bit of a cop out, but TikTok, like, do TikTok videos. Try and structure your jokes into more of like a sketch rather than stand up sort of thing, and put them on TikTok, share them around your friends, see what they think. There is a lot of open mic nights, especially around Manchester. I think it's where I saw the advertisement from yourself, Northwest Comedy on Facebook, the group. There's so many people advertising open spots, and you don't get paid for it. I think anyone who thinks you're going to make a living off stand-up comedy at the beginning, they're delusional.
Yeah,
So realistically, if you're doing it for the love of comedy, then go to the open mic nights. There's ones where you can just turn up on the day, sign up, and then you're on stage. You've definitely got stage time.
yeah.
So, in terms of being comfortable talking in front of people, it's a bit different for me because I've done it for a living for 20 years.
Mm.
Where, so I could. So, have you ever seen Impractical Jokers, the
Yes.
American one? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for instance, when they put like a PowerPoint presentation on just randomly that they've never seen in their life and they've got to pitch it to business people, I'd
Oh,
smash that because I'm
yeah.
used to that sort of thing. I'd absolutely smash it. So for me, like getting used to talking to people, it's a bit benign because I'm used to it. But for people who might be office jobs or workmen, like tradesmen sort of thing, who don't talk to groups of people, go to the open mic places and just give it a go. And if you get booed or what have you, people won't remember you 10 minutes later, like because the next person's on stage. No one generally gives a shit,
Mm.
if you're good or not. Like no one's going to remember you in 10 minutes time. Even if you're good, they won't remember you half the time. So I wouldn't even worry.
Okay. My last question I'm going to ask you then, and this is only come purely from my own perspective, because I'm fairly new to comedy, and so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
doing this mostly for me, and hopefully the audience can learn something from it as well. A lot of my comedy at the moment, I'm evolving around safe topics
Hmm.
where I'm not actually joking about what I want to joke about, what I find funny. because I'm worried that I'm gonna ostracize people straight away.
Hmm.
What would your advice be to like choosing my comedy style? Should I play it safe or should I just go for what I want to go for?
So again, it depends on the room, doesn't it? Because if you, let's say you've wrote a really offensive joke that you think's hilarious, and you say it to your friends who also think it's hilarious, you go to a room of people and say it. It only takes one person to think that's offensive and start booing for the rest of the people to go, "Oh yeah, I also find that offensive." And da-da.
Mm.
So the people like, I mean, I love. I'm guessing you do as well, like Jimmy Carr. What's his name, Frankie Boyle, really offensive comedy. I guarantee they wouldn't have been saying that right from day one, because you've got to build a not so much a fan base, like a following, if you will, before you do anything even remotely. You never far away, especially in this day and age, you never far away from offending somebody.
Yeah,
You
so you
know,
say treat
so
it like a little like slope almost, like go like no, not
yeah,
well,
so just like I would say, like stick to, and again, who am I to give advice? I'm still relatively new, but again, I would say stick to the safe stuff, and then like every now and again, just drop one of the
little increment.
bit more. Yeah, yeah. Just tease them with it. Just dip a toe in, but just put the tip in, and then and then if you seem to like that, give it your all.
If you get just a tip in, you can end up fucking a horse for 5 minutes on
Yeah,
stage, you
that's
know.
it. Yeah, yeah. But again, like I think the worst thing I've ever seen, and I'm not an aggressive guy in any way, shape, or form, but even I wanted to batter this guy. So my dad had just passed away from cancer, and that's one of the things that's led to my mental health, which led to me doing comedy. So I'm not a fan of people telling cancer jokes, but if it's done in a funny way, I'm able to laugh at it. If it's not taking the piss out of cancer, I'm able to laugh at it if it's funny.
Yeah,
Anyway, and we did this. It was Frog and Bucket actually. So this proves how Frog and Bucket isn't the place to be offensive, because this guy gets up on stage, starts talking about how he works with children with cancer, and everyone's a bit like, "Oh, that's a lovely thing to do." And then he starts telling really bad jokes about kids dying from cancer, and I'm like, "Do you really think this is the right place to joke about that?"
yeah,
And even when people started booing, he carried on like, "Come on, lad." So if he'd have said them jokes around his close friends, I'm guessing everyone would be laughing and go, "Oh, Xbox party chat and all that." Like everyone would be, "Oh, that's funny." But if you say it in front of a group of strangers, maybe not. So
no,
yeah,
I
I try to steer away from anything like offensive. I know I've just talked about the yogurt song, licking
yeah,
someone, licking not someone, licking something out for 3 minutes. But again, that's really as far as I'd push it. But offensive comedy works. There's a lot of fans of it. It's just getting the right following first, isn't it? I
yeah.
suppose.
Yeah. David, that's been absolutely brilliant. That's all we've got time for, I'm afraid,
Yeah.
today. We could do this for hours. Thank you ever so much for coming on the pod.
Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers.
Yeah.